Let's get into it now. A spoiler-free movie review of The Naked Gun starring Liam Neeson. Although I might be a little bit just loose on the term spoiler-free because I don't really think this is going to be a movie that I can spoil. I think talking about some of the comedic elements that I actually ended up enjoying, which I thought I was going to hate this movie. I saw the trailer for it and I thought that looks so dumb. The scene in particular that almost kept me from watching this movie was whenever you see the girl enter the bank and then turn into Liam Neeson and then start fighting people. I thought, no way could a parody movie be good in 2025. I also don't know how much of the fan base was really itching for another one of these movies, except maybe the couple next to me in the theater. They were probably a good 20 to 30 years older than me. The original came out back in 1988, so it's been 37 years. Those people might have been waiting for this movie. Me in particular, I was not. But it does come to us from director Akiva Schaffer, who I had faith in. I just didn't think the actual movie was going to be good. But I am here to admit I was wrong. The Naked Gun is actually a funny movie, and let me tell you why I think it works. Now, I'm gonna relate it to a recent comedy legacy sequel that we got, Happy Gilmore 2. Even in the Sandler verse, it was a lot of just recalling old things that they did in that movie. Here, it's something completely different because The Naked Gun actually builds its own world where everything is ridiculous. In the best way, this movie is a Looney Tunes cartoon brought to life with a lot of great writing, a lot of great jokes per minute. So consistently throughout this entire movie, you're getting joke after joke, recurring bit after recurring bit. But not only things in the foreground, you're getting things in the background, small little details put in there to make you laugh. Now, are all of them huge, big moments that are going to have you on the floor of the theater laughing, splitting your side? No. But it consistently just tries to make you laugh. It commits to every single joke. A lot of play on words, which I kind of think is the DNA of this franchise. And a lot of it just works. And I was not expecting it to from the very beginning, the very opening sequence. I was like, okay, I'm in for this ride. And it honestly didn't take me a long time to believe in Liam Neeson in this role, which I thought was going to be the hardest part because I just see him as the Taken guy, really. But what this movie is about, he is investigating a bank robbery and then starts investigating a car crash. Somebody died, but Pamela Anderson's character was the brother of the guy who died in the crash and said, I don't think he killed himself. I think there's somebody else behind it. And that's really it. A very minimal plot of him just trying to figure out who the bad guy is and how this crime unfolded. And what you get through all of that is a series of comedic events that just work. Liam Neeson was great. I thought Pamela Anderson was really great in this role as well. They have some pretty good on-screen chemistry. She also has, surprisingly, some really good comedic timing, but hands down, my favorite part of this movie was Paul Walter Hauser, who I believe just owns every role that he does right now. He was just in the Fantastic Four as the Mole Man. I also loved him, and I Think You Should Leave, the Tim Robinson Show. He is somebody who I believe is one of the best new faces in comedy, and it's great to see him start to get bigger roles. I think now that people are becoming a little bit more familiar with him, they're like, oh, isn't that the guy from Richard Jewell? He's actually pretty funny. I think his character should have had a little bit more of a presence because anytime his character was on screen, I loved it. There were 3 reoccurring bits that I love. Now, I said I wasn't going to give away any spoilers, and I don't really think this is spoiling anything, but these are the type of things that are inside of a Naked Gun movie. At number three is whenever they are at risk of getting shut down. Immediately, Paul Walter Hauser is standing out front with his box, and a Spirit Halloween sign goes up behind him. I thought that was hilarious. At number 2, whenever they were investigating the car crash and they're trying to get it out of the water, Liam Neeson does a terrible job at investigating, and then they're like, all right, nothing else to see here. And you think they're going to be smart in the way that they pull out the car, but then the guy working the crane literally has like the claw from the claw machine and then pulls it up. And that is the best representation of this movie. It goes all in and allows everything to be ridiculous. But number 1, my favorite bit in the movie is they keep making fun of how in action movies and cop movies, they always get a fresh cup of coffee. So they're getting a fresh cup and then immediately get another fresh cup. And then the cups keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I just thought that was funny, the way they committed to that. And my final question about this movie, does length matter? Because this movie was over before I knew it. And I think that's also what led to my enjoyment, is because The humor will start to wear on you a little bit because it kind of starts to be the same thing over and over. And even though you really enjoy it for those first 30 to 45 minutes, it starts to reach a point of like, okay, this is still funny. And I get that they're still firing off jokes and firing off jokes, but it does get a little less and less novel as it goes along. But before I knew it, this movie was over. It was under 1 hour and 15 minutes, which I think is probably the lowest runtime I've ever seen in theaters. And I ended up loving it. I think different categories of movies do require different runtimes. Now, if a movie is just good, all out good, no bad things to say about it, it can go on as long as it wants. But if a movie is kind of teetering on the line of, I don't know if I like this, I don't know if I'm really committed to it, the runtime can be very influential. And before this movie, I would say a great comedy runtime is 90 minutes. But if you could make a movie in 1 hour and 15 minutes, I think it has to be as ridiculous as The Naked Gun. But 1 hour and 15 minutes is also pretty good because, like I said, it kind of tricks your mind into thinking, oh, I'm a little bit over this. Oh, it's already over? Everybody's leaving? All right, I'm good. I think I enjoyed that because it got me out of there really quickly, said what it needed to say, did all the gags, and didn't waste time trying to build anything else that it didn't need to. For an art house movie, I feel is right around the 1 hour and 40 minute range. Art house movies are usually a little bit lower budget. The story is kind of stretched out a little bit more, and anything more than an hour and 40 minutes starts to feel a little taxing to me. A horror movie, I think right now needs to be 1 hour and 45 minutes. I think that is the sweet spot for horror, enough to really build that story in the first 20 minutes, really ramp up in that 40-minute mark, and then really start to go off the rails about that 1 hour and 10-minute mark. And those final 30 to 20 minutes give you a great final battle. I think 145 is the perfect runtime for a horror movie. When it comes to superhero movies, I used to say 2.5 hours. But recently, I think right around that 2 hour mark, which is what DC and Marvel are both starting to do, is kind of that sweet spot. Maybe it's because we have a little bit of superhero fatigue, but I think 2 hours, maybe even 155, is the perfect amount right now for a superhero movie. Now, if it's an Avengers level movie, I'm okay with the 245. For Secret Wars, I will give you another 3 hours for that one. And speaking of runtimes, I feel like I've talked about this movie too long at this point because the movie was only 1 hour and 15 minutes and I'm still here yapping about it. So for The Naked Gun, because it proved me wrong, I give it 3.5 out of 5 big old coffee cups.